All right, everybody. Hello and welcome to our bronze and above call here for not just North America, actually for all over the world. If you speak English, this is a good call to be on if you're bronze and above. So, but I also want to say congratulations to some of our newly promoted agents, our bronzes and silvers and golds and platinums. And Chris Carroll, I'm pretty sure there's a promotion here this week for you, if I'm not mistaken, right? So, congrats, brother, on that. And we've got so many more things that are coming. So I'm going to dive into this. We've got an important topic. I did a little bit on it last week, honestly. I don't think I did it even enough justice because, man, it is right now, I'm telling you, it is one of the things that I'm watching people either going to make an absolute fortune in their business or they're going to have the experience feeling they invested a lot of time, money, energy, resources, and didn't get the return that they were looking for. And so I want to make sure that we don't leave any of our team members, our new agents, our beloved family here feeling like they just got pummeled in the face, because we need to re-educate expectations and make sure that they're doing the right things. So today we're going to dive a little bit deeper into our favorite F word, follow-up. All right. So I know. All right. So some of you guys were like, where is he going with this? So follow-up, becoming a professional follow-upper. If I know that's probably not a word, but that's okay. We're going to go with it. So they said this, you've heard this all over the night. Write this in your notes. These are one of the 3 steps that I learned in building my business in the very beginning. Step number 1. Okay. Step number 1, and I'm going to mute all. Okay. So that way everyone that comes in is muted. If you are in a quiet place, you can unmute again now. So, so that way, if I say something, you respond, I feel like we're actually together instead of me just staring at a weirdos on a screen. But when it comes to follow up, write these 3 things down. Exposure is everything. These are 3 things I learned 20 years ago. 3 things. Exposure is everything. Number 2, fortune is in the follow-up. Fortune is in the follow-up. And number 3, work with the willing. These were 3 very important philosophies that I needed to get in the beginning. Now, here's the thing. Here's what I found. Most people are more excited about exposing a new person than they are about following up with somebody 4 times that didn't answer. Would you guys agree with me on that? However, the majority of the money that you make inside of your business isn't from your first exposure. It's from what? Your 4th, 5th, 6th follow-up. So here's the thing. You need to find a way to fall in love, even if you got to trick yourself into falling in love with following up. It needs to be something that's a part of your daily routine, your DMO, your daily method of operation. In fact, if you only have 20 minutes to work your business, I would rather you spend that 15 minutes following up with people that have been in the exposure process than only exposing new people over and over and over and over and over again. Okay. Now we're going to talk a little bit about this, but I have a quick clip that I want to share with you guys. I think it kind of illustrates a little bit of how some of us might have ever felt when it comes to follow up. So let me know if any of you guys can relate. And Trish, if you could let people in as they come into the waiting room, I think we're co-hosts together. So that'd be great. So I don't have to think about it or focus on that. But let me know if any of you can relate to this experience. So let me see if you guys have ever done this.
Hello, Luz. This is Gru. I know up to this point our relationship has been strictly professional and you're leaving for Australia and all, but okay, here is the question. Would you like to go out on a date?
No.
Okay, that's not helping. All right, here we go. For real this time. I can do this. I hate you!
How many of you guys honestly have ever felt a little bit like that when you were staring at your phone, right? Now, many of you guys are leaders in here. You've been doing this for a long period of time. So your experience is maybe not the same. Maybe not afraid of the phone, but most of your team is terrified of following up with people. They would much rather go expose somebody for the first time. Here's why I know that. You know how many people are so jacked to say, hey, give me your address. I want to send you a free product. And you know what's going to happen? Most of them aren't going to follow up. They're not going to even follow up. Why? It's scary. What if they say no? What if the objection comes? What do you do this? Guys, I want this leadership group of people. We are going to develop networking ninjas. I want you to eat objections for breakfast. I want you to fall in love with I want objections to be like, bring them on. I can't wait to hear an objection because I know exactly what to do with them. And I know when someone gives me an objection of how to move on or move through the objection, because I'm not trying to convince or beg people to get into my business. I am sorting through the exposures I'm doing through my follow-ups to find somebody who gets it, sees it, and who's ready to rock. Ain't nobody got time to drag people to success into this deal. You guys know right now, we do not have the luxury or the time to be able to do that. So, but that doesn't mean that for your people, the phone ain't 1,000 pounds. Now, I know a lot of what we're doing today is in Messenger and it's in text message, and it's actually a lot less intrusive than what we had to go through many years ago. All right. So, but one of the I guess, simpler things I would say when I got started of doing the business is before people had caller ID. Because they would pick up the phone, right? Nobody answers the phone anymore, right? And it's almost like people are weirded out. Like if you call before you text, they're like, what is wrong with you? You know, so look, in communication and follow-ups, there's so many different ways that we're going to do this. However, I want us to get really excited about the process of following up and teaching to become professionals in our follow-ups. Now, how do we do that? So a couple of different things here. Because how many of you, by show of hands, have followed up with somebody that did not answer when you called? Boom. How many of you followed up with somebody 3, 4, 5 times before they answered, right? So now this is going to happen every single day. And I want you guys to know that this is part of the process. Just so you guys know, the reason why someone answers the 4th call is because they missed the first 3. That's the reason they answer. It's not because you needed to call 4 times. It's because they didn't answer. Good example. If you're at work and someone calls you, you can't answer, right? So what do? It goes to voicemail. Does it mean that you're not interested? No. But what we do a lot of the times is we make up a story as to why the person didn't answer. Oh, I'm bothering her. I'm bothering her. She's not interested. She didn't like it. She thinks I'm just trying to get her into my thing, right? No, she was at work. Right. And then 2 days later, you call her and your prospect is in the shower, can't answer. She's in the shower. She gets out of the shower. She's like, oh, Carla called again. Right. So I missed Carla's call. I got to return Carla's call, but I don't know how long the call is going to be because I know she wants to talk about this thing and I know we need to follow up on it, but I got to get to work because now I'm late and I'll call Carla after work. And then work happens and life happens and things get onto their day and they get home and the kids and they don't call Carla. And then a couple of days later, Carla calls again. Here's why they pick up Carla's call the 3rd, 4th time, because they missed the first 2 or 3. They're like, I can't miss Carla's call again. So here's the expectation that I have. I do not expect people to answer the first 3 calls. That's my expectation. If they answer one of the first 3 times that I call them, it's like a gift from God, an angel shining from above. That is the experience. That's what I believe about follow-ups. This is why follow-ups became fun for me. So I had to learn how to re-educate my expectations and understand the process of follow-ups. And why is that so important? Well, write these statistics down. I know we talked about this, but I want you to drill this into your brain. Why? Because if we are going to be asking our new agents to be sending out $10 experiences, we better get a return for them on it. Now, we're not going to close 100%. We know that, right? However, if they do what is on this statistical chart, they're going to be disappointed, and they're going to be disappointed in secret. And that's not their fault. It's our fault. It's a training issue, not a systems issue. So talking about here sales statistics, 48% of people never follow up with a prospect. How ridiculous is that? It's crazy. I know. But honestly, seriously, how many of you guys have somebody you expose and you haven't followed up with? I'll pretend like I'm not looking. All right. 25% of people make a second contact and stop. 12% make 3 contacts and stop, and only 10% make more than 3 contacts, right? So they say only 2% of sales are made on the first contact, which means on the first contact, if you're not following up at least once, 98% of the money is left on the table. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't go away. It just is planting seeds for future people that are doing secret. So I'm actually not that upset with people who who expose and don't follow up, because I get to eat your lunch later. Because what you did is you planted seeds and exposed, and then there's a harvest that I just water, because I didn't even have to plant the seed. You already planted the seed. I just come and water it, and all of a sudden, 3rd, 4th, 5th contact, and now I have a new customer, new agent, and I got a new builder. So 2% on the first, 3% on the second contact, 5% on the third contact, 10% of sales are made on the fourth. But get this number, write this down, tattoo it in your brain. 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. Some of you forgot how many times somebody had to follow up and or communicate information to you before you signed the dotted line in your business. Now, for some of you, a secret, whether you transitioned into secret, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you first got started in network marketing. Now, for some of you, if you got exposed in your first exposure, you signed up, it's because you were an ace. And unfortunately, I apologize. Most people have the experience of thinking other people will get it as fast as them if you got it that quick. That was part of my problem. When I first saw this, right, I thought I signed up right away. So when people didn't get it right away, I was really frustrated. That's what happened to me, right? But when I really looked at it, I went, wait a minute. Okay, I was teaching dance class. She gave me a cassette tape. And then the cassette tape I was supposed to bring back to her on Wednesday, she called me. I didn't answer because I was working. She called me again. The second time I actually picked up, I wasn't bothered. She called me in the first. In fact, she called me twice in the same day. She called me morning and she called me at lunch. And then she said, what did you like about the tape? And I was like, yeah, it sounded good. So then what did she say? She said, okay, great. I want to show you a next exposure. So she drove over on her lunch break because she worked at Sony Studios. She came over on my lunch break and she played a cassette tape, a VHS. Oh my God, I remember this. You guys remember VHS? First, it was a cassette tape. Then my second exposure was a VHS. It was called Get Paid Daily. And it was about 10 minutes. And these people on the screen were talking, and I was already sold. And after this point, here's what happened. So she had to get back from lunch and she kept talking. I was like, listen, I'm ready. Can you just what do I do to sign up? Right. So, but she gave me the paperwork, but she had to go back to work. And then the next day she followed up with me to be able to get the paperwork. And for me, I thought I signed up right away, but that's not really what happened. Even though I was an easy enrollment, I was still a process of follow-ups that happened. Okay. So in this, following up is going to be something that you want to get really, really, really excited about. Okay. Now, when we're following up, here is a simple method of operation that I have found in following up that has helped me. If you got a better one, use yours. If you don't, try this one on. Okay. How do you follow up? Because when you follow up with somebody, how many guys have figured out a lot of people don't respond right away? How many guys have figured that out? Okay. So when they don't respond, what do? It's double the days. Simple as that. Double the days. So if I call you today and you don't pick up, what do? Call you in 2 days. If you don't pick up in 2 days, what do? 4 days. If it's no 4 days, what do? 8 days. If no 8 days, what do? 16. If you don't do 16, then what happens? A month. Then what happens? After a month, then what? 2. Then after 2, then 4. Then 4, then 8. And then when do you stop? Until you tell me you're not interested. Okay. I'm going to assume you're interested. Now, I'm not going to be pushy. I'm not going to be mean. In fact, I'm going to be the most positive person that has ever called you repeatedly over the course of your life. I'm going to be so obnoxiously happy. Okay. This isn't a chore for me. This isn't a thing. I am treasure hunting right now. I'm digging for diamonds. And I don't know how many exposures exactly it's going to take or how many phone calls it's going to take for you to finally take the time. It might take me 6 calls for you to finally go, oh, shit, I need to go look at that thing finally. And then you look at it and you love it. But it took the 6th call for you to go, oh, I got to look now. Jesse's called me 6 times and he's so jacked about this thing, right? Okay. So on these follow-ups, so follow up, you got to fall in love with follow-up. For most of you, it's more exciting to do a first exposure than a 5th phone call. I know that was me, but the 5th phone call is the one that pays you. The 5th phone call is the one where you make your money. So unless you want to build a free network marketing business and leave 98% of your money on the table, just do one follow-up and then we'll take the rest of them. Okay. So, but I don't think that's what you're here for. Every single one of you, I know what you're here for. You're here to get results in your business. Now, whether you're building in a warm market, you're building in a cold market, you're in an attraction market, it doesn't matter. We're talking about once the first exposure comes in of how the follow-up process. Now, I'm a phone call guy. I grew up doing phone calls. Do you have to do phone calls? No, I just like phone calls. All right. Now, if you are messaging through Instagram, if you're messaging through Facebook, I would highly recommend using the audio function so they can hear in your voice, because you can't translate a lot of times excitement. You can also be a little pushier with your audios than you can with your text, because your text can come across mean and not say, oh my God, listen, I know you've been busy. You haven't gotten back to me. The last couple of times I messaged you, I just want to make sure everything was okay. But I did want to follow up with you because we haven't talked yet. I just wanted to see, are you good? Now that's a little bit more aggressive, but if I sent that in a text message, you might read it and go, what a dick. You guys get that, right? So in this, when you're talking, here's what I'd recommend: alternating between text and audio or call. So text, audio, text, call, text, call. So 2 days, call, 4 days, text, 8 days, call, 16 days, text, 1 month, call. So alternate. So double the days, alternate, double the days, alternate, double the days, alternate. Simple system. How many of you guys can remember that? Right? So super, 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 super simple. Now, here's the thing. We got to find a way for, make sure you schedule this in your business. When Muzaffar came to Secret 5 years ago as VP of field development for Secret and training, and we did our first training, it was incredible. But I'd seen a lot of that training before because I grew up inside of that culture. But there was something that Muzaffar did that weekend that I had never seen, which was a strategy called a phone zone. And a phone zone, I was like, oh my God, that's it. What it did was it got everybody in a condensed time frame to do one of two things, which was to make calls and set appointments. And the other thing that it did was it was a perfect time for everyone to do their what? Follow-ups. So the follow-up, 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 okay? So when it comes to following up with your prospects, comes to following up with your agents, follow-ups is something that isn't just happening for bringing people into the business, it's for everything in our business. So in other words, most people are going to register for boot camp on the first time you call them about it. Nope. Second? Nope. Third? Nope. Fourth? Nope. 80% of the people who register for boot camp are going to be the 5th to 12th time. It's the same thing. It doesn't change. The game doesn't change. Only the spectators do. And you're like, oh, I don't like the game. Well, when you're God, you can make the game how you want. This is the one you're in right now, because this is how people operate. Now, I wish it could be different. It's not. So I just figured out how to gamify this business to the point where I could understand how to do it. Now, there are times where I am terrible at my follow-ups. There are, okay? And I would have been, people say, you know, how long did it take to get to $1 million a year network marketing? Doesn't take as long as it took me, just so you guys know. If you're consistent with follow-ups and you're consistent with recruiting and you're consistent where you don't waver with being on and off and on and off, doesn't take this long. Now, look, I'm not complaining. I'm totally happy with it. All right. But at the same time, what we need to make sure that we're doing is this: for everybody that is investing, they're investing. Our secret agents are out there investing in sharing these experiences with people. We need to make sure that our follow-up game is on point. Okay. Now, what is the purpose of follow-ups? Okay. Does anybody know what the purpose of follow-ups are? The purpose of follow-ups is to lead somewhere. Okay. Now, a lot of people say to lead to a next exposure, but the purpose of follow-ups is to lead to a presentation. All roads lead to presentations. Write this down. All roads lead to presentations. So follow the yellow brick road, meaning follow up on the yellow brick road is leading to a presentation. Why? Because people make a buying decision and a joining decision after a presentation. Very rarely does somebody make a buying or joining decision before they get presented to. Now, here's what's crazy. Secret products are so darn good that you're going to find people that just by sending them an experience and trying our products will enroll without a presentation. How many of you guys have had this happen? Okay. They'll buy as a customer, but not many of them will join as agents without the presentation. You'll get customers, but not many will join as agents. All right. So let's talk a little bit about that process here real quick. So follow-ups. How many of you guys, on a scale of 1 to 10, if you were to rate how fantastical you are at follow-ups and being consistent on your follow-ups, where would you rate yourself? Okay. So write this in your notes. I rate myself from 1 to 10 on follow-ups this, and this week change it. Let's get you up. If you're like, I'm a 4, you got to be a 5 this week. You got to be a 6 this week. You got to be a 7 this week, right? How good is your team at follow-ups? Because if you have a team that is fantastic at creating exposures, creating leads, creating first exposures, but not at follow-ups, you're going to get smoked by the team that's really good at follow-ups, even if they're not doing as many exposures as your team. How many of you guys are getting this? How many of you guys are like, oh man, I've been avoiding this and I don't really like it that much, right? So I get it. It is not a sexy subject, but here's what we need to do as leaders. We need to make it sexy. Why? Because your freedom is found in your ability to follow up. Freedom equals, or follow-ups equal freedom. Tattoo that in your brain. Okay. Now, when we're following up, what are we going to deal with? Questions. We're going to deal with what? Objections. Now, we're going to be getting a slew of objections. Here's what you're going to start realizing. If you're getting a common objection after presentation, I'm not talking about before a presentation. If you're getting a consistent objection after presentations, you aren't good at, you're not handling it during your presentation. If you're getting the same objection over and over, it means you need to change your presentation. It should be handled throughout the experience of the presentation. Okay. Now, if you're like, I don't know how to do that, talk to somebody that's a great presenter, that's great at handling those objections. But there's only a handful of common objections. How many of you guys know there's like 10 or 20 of the common objections? And then there's the one-offs, right? So by the way, and today, like, I want you to get excited about objections because objections mean interest, just so you guys know. Now, I'm not talking about somebody who's just like, I just don't have the time, that really just doesn't have the balls to say no. Right? So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the person that is out there that is basically giving an objection, that they're concerned. Can I do this? Will this work for me? Can this happen? Right? And we need to guide people through their fear. So write this in your notes. Objections equal fear. So when somebody has an objection with something, a resistance to joining, if they're interested, I'm not talking about uninterested people. I'm talking about interested people that have an objection. There's an underlying fear there. So what do we need to do? We need to find the fear and overcome the fear. Find the fear and overcome it. Don't run away from it. Find it. Bring it into the light. Because if we don't find it, it's really difficult to move somebody into action when they're still hanging on to their fear, whatever it is. It could be a past experience. It could be a negative experience in network marketing. It could have been a bad upline. It could have been a spousal thing. It could have been a company's products or services. Okay. It could be other network marketers doing stupid stuff that they don't want to be like. That's one of my favorite ones. I was just on the phone with Chris. Chris has a new recruit. She's like, yeah, I just, don't really want to do sales and all this other stuff. And I was like, so in other words, how many of you have you been approached by people that were just annoying and you didn't like the way they approached you? She was like, yeah. I said, why in the world would you want us to ask you? Why would you expect us to want you to do what you know is terrible to be done to you? That's not what we're looking for. So when it comes to objections, I get excited. Guys, when I hear an objection I've never heard before, I literally love it. It's like one of my favorite things in the world. How many of you guys are like me? When you hear an objection you never heard before, you're like, oh my God, this is a new one, right? I get excited. I call Mazaffer. I swear to God, this is what I do. I called Mazaffer. This happened like 4 years ago. This one guy, he's known us for a long time. He's like, man, you guys are making a lot of money. And I was like, yeah. I was like, why aren't you doing this? Like, come on. Like there's enough trust here. You've known us for years. Just get in. He's like, I can't. I was like, why? And he was like, my vocal cords. And I was like, what? And he was like, because I'm a singer and you guys talk a lot and I don't want to mess up my vocal cords. And I lost it. I cried for like 5 minutes. In fact, I thought it was so funny. I called one of my sponsors and I was like, bro, you got to hear this objection. Here, tell it to him. It was so much fun for me. I loved it. Now, those objections are great. I was like, listen, okay, I get it, man. Just save your vocal cords. It shouldn't do this. Like I'm not even trying to overcome that one. But the reason why I'm saying it is I want you to be somebody that is so confident in this. Now, does that happen overnight? No. When I first got started, objections were feeling like I got punched in the gut. How many of you guys know what I'm talking about? Where it's just like, oh God, and this person's so good. And if they just got it and saw it, they would be great. But they have this objection and it's like, and now I'm afraid, they're afraid. In fact, I get it. All right. The thing is this, is that over time, objections don't go away. You get stronger. And as you get stronger, what's very strange, people stop objecting because it's not about the business. They're buying into you, and they see that their confidence and their fear diminishes because they believe that joining you is the right decision. That being a part of your team, that joining your business is going, man, there's so much more value. So as your confidence increases, not your cockiness, your confidence increases, what will end up happening is you will see objections start to go away. So how do we build that? We build that by doing it a lot. How do you build confidence? Successful attempts. It's the only way I know how to do it. Successful attempts. How do you successfully do something? Is you fail at it a lot. So the key is to do it again and again and again and again and again. And you're going to have some of the most obnoxious things that happen. You're going to have follow-ups, that are going to go sideways. And you're going to have people that are going to ghost you. And you're going to have people that aren't going to sign up. You're going to have people that are going to tell you they're going to enroll. Oh my God, I can't wait to talk on Friday. I get paid on Friday. And then they will disappear. How many of you guys have had this happen? And it is frustrating. Oh my gosh. All right. So look, all of that is going to happen over the course of your career. I want you to be prepared for it. What I want you though to do is this, is the shift in the mentality of going follow-ups equal freedom. Follow-ups equal freedom. My freedom is in my ability to follow up. And it's following up with your agents, following up with your customers, following up with your leads, following up with your exposure packs, and learning to get better and better and better and better at it. So just because you guys know I like to have fun, I have one more little video for you guys around the subject. Some of you may have seen this, but I just absolutely just love it because this is what most people experience when we ask them to follow up. So let's see if I can share this. Oh yeah, it's optimized. Here we go.
Yeah, just do. Yay. Pathetic. Sydney, how you doing? It's Peter Clavin. Hey, Sydney, it's Peter Clavin. Get some guts with me. That's jeez. Break. No. Oh my God.
Hey, Peter.
Hey, Carolyn. Sorry.
Fife, you know what to do.
Hey, Peter, it's Sydney Clavin. No, that's not right. Oh. Sydney, it's Peter Clavin. I met you last week at an open house, and I had a showing. And anyway, I was wondering if you ever wanted to get together and talk about real estate and whatnot, or whatnot. And hey. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot what I was going to say. What was I saying? Yes, the open house, and we met. Anyway, no rush. You call me back whenever you get a moment, and we will talk when I talk to you. All right. Hope you're having a great day. Okay. Bye now.
Oh my gosh. Right. So look, most of all of our agents, that's usually what they're experiencing on a daily basis. So how many of you guys can honestly relate to that? And if you can't relate to it now, you can relate to it over the course of your career. We have to remember that's where we all started. That's where we all started. Phone's 10,000 pounds, man. And it's like, oh my God, what if they say no? What if I get rejected? What if I go through all this other stuff? So we as leaders, bronzes and above, we need to be just an overwhelming amount of like, I want you to be thinking about like a showering confidence blanket over our new agents here as they're going out there and exposing and putting people in the business. We need to educate expectations and understanding that the majority of people do not enroll. This isn't about being pushy. Okay. It's not about that. It's not about being pushy. It's about following up. I am not here to convince. I'm not here to beg. I'm here to collect decisions. I'm here to collect decisions. It's my job. My job is to expose and collect decisions. Expose and collect decisions. Did you like it? Did it make sense? Now you'll learn how to navigate. In the beginning, you make up in numbers what you lack in skill, and that's okay. But over a period of time, the point is to be skilled. And this leadership group of people, the point here is not for you to be an amateur, because you're not new anymore. The point is to become a professional marketer, a professional network marketer, a professional attraction marketer, a professional follow-upper. I know that's not a real word, but I like it. So, okay. But what we're talking about here through this process is I want you guys to have this in as a major part of your system. This topic usually gets forgotten. And honestly, it's a topic that isn't the most one that is my go-to. You know what I want? I want to talk about motivation. I want to talk about personal development. I want to talk about, inspiration. I want to talk about launching your business. I want to talk about those things. But follow-ups is where your freedom lies. So guys, boot camp, write this in your notes. Boot camp. All right. Well, if you're not registered for boot camp, just don't do secret. So this is a leadership call. I can say that. Right. So you're not new. Okay. So, but get to boot camp. Make sure you get registered here for boot camp. But more importantly, the boot camp is this: trainer school. Platinum has to be on your radar. You got to get to trainer school Wednesday and Thursday. I mean, that for me was the ticket. I'll tell you what, even more than the actual Elevate convention was trainer school for me, because then I realized I was like, I see the system behind this leadership machine that is so important. If you know anybody overseas, I'm going to be in Dubai for the Forging of Champions in the end of May. So our honeymoon got certain. By the way, I'm getting married on Saturday. That's cool. So yay. And picked up the U-Haul, been carrying stuff all day. As soon as I get off this, I just jetted back to do the bronze and above call, and I do this call, and I'm going back over to go work on stuff to set up for the wedding, but I just couldn't miss it. I wanted to make sure that I was there with you guys here today. But what I would, when you're building this out is bronzes. So looking at your rank meter, it's Tuesday. What do you need by Monday to make sure that, now, please write this in your notes. I am not maintaining my rank. I am advancing my rank. I am not maintaining my rank. I'm advancing my rank. Every person I know that focuses on maintaining always declines. Always. Always. Maintenance is death to a network marketer. We are not maintaining a rank. We are advancing. Okay, we're advancing. Now, it may not always look like advancing. I get that. It may not always feel like advancing. I get that. But you are no longer going to tell yourself that you're maintaining anything. You are advancing your business. Why? Because you are getting better. And if you're getting better, then your business is getting better, even if the numbers do not reflect it quite yet. So for many of you, your income in your business is a reflection of what you did 90 days ago. Never forget that. So if your volume isn't where you want it to be, look at what you're doing 90 days ago and you'll start seeing the pattern. Why? Because if you're following up properly over the course of 4, 5, 6, 7 follow-ups, the volume that's coming in today is volume that started in its process 30, 60, 90 days ago. So if you want 90 days from now to be ecstatic, momentum, excitement, that means not just increasing your exposures, but being very consistent with your follow-ups. So boot camp, so many great things going on here in the world. Okay. I'm going to stop this recording.